It's a little bit breezy tonight. Welcome to the Backyard Professor videos. I'm up here with this gorgeous lava rock way up on the foothill, way above home. Home is way out there somewhere, out on the Snake River Plain. That's quite a cool looking little rock. A cool looking big rock. It's got a spectacular hole in it. Hope I don't find a mad animal in here or something. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Anyway, I'm up amongst the lava rocks. I'm going to sit right there. I hope that rock don't break in. Me and my lard butt, it might. But I've got some really cool ideas to share with you on God. I've been trying to work on. I've been reading like crazy for the last several weeks on God and infinity, and I'm hoping to get a set of videos done on the concept of the infinity of God. Francis Beckwith wrote a review on the LDS concept of infinity in God, and critiqued us pretty hard. And Richard Hopkins and what's his name? Blake Ostler. Blake Ostler did a fabulous job of refuting Beckwith. And Blake Ostler's series in his books. See if I can sit on this rock without breaking it. With my dumb luck, I'll break it. Blake Ostler's series on exploring Mormon thought is really exceptional. 3 volumes so far, several thousand pages. And he is more rigorous in his analysis and his philosophical language. He takes on more of the detailed arguments from the philosophers than Richard Hopkins does. Richard Hopkins basically brings it down on an easier level to understand. So I'm going to go with Richard Hopkins for these videos, but don't let that make you think that Ostler is too difficult to study. Ostler is not too difficult to study. Ostler is a very important LDS scholar, thinker, philosopher that is well worth reading. So before I get into the concept of Francis Beckwith said infinity destroys the Mormon concept of deity. And before I get into that, I realized in my readings that it's important to understand the immutability of God. And what does that mean? That's what I want to talk with you tonight on the immutability of God, and it will give us the necessary understanding from the Scriptures on this concept of God and how God in turn relates to the concept of infinity, which I believe is one of the deepest, most profound aspects of the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ through the prophet Joseph Smith, beginning in the early 1800s. I'm going to get a closer shot so you don't see me so far away. I've got to show you my lovely baby blues. Alright. Wouldn't you know it, I get a grasshopper right in my ear first thing. Mother Nature, she's spectacular, isn't she? That's got to be a first in the video world. Backyard Professor gets a grasshopper in his ear. I can see the headlines in the news now. Hopefully I'm not going to sneeze. I'm among all these pollinated sagebrush, and I'm starting to feel my nose, darn it. Maybe I shouldn't be sitting amongst the sagebrush, but... Richard Hopkins, How the Greek Philosophy Corrupted the Christian Concept of God. His book is a very good analysis of the historical background of how the veneer of Neoplatonic philosophy was spread over the interpretation of the Bible. And the Christian world today discusses and deals with the Bible on the basis of the definitions of Greek philosophical discourse concerning God. And it's not the biblical teaching. The two are different. And what he does is step by step is he demonstrates which Greek philosopher is teaching what concept, and then he strips the veneer of the philosophy off, and he goes to the Bible. And oh boy, here we go. Snot-nosed McShirts. What he does is he shows the biblical meanings and definitions are not those that the Christians suppose they are, because they've adapted the philosophical mode of discourse, rhetoric, and dialectic. The give and take, back and forth discussion. We LDS don't do that. This is one of the causes of the apostasy, is this adaptation of a later philosophical meaning stamped onto the Bible. Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Mary, Martha, Joseph of Arimathea, John the Baptist, all of the New Testament personalities, Paul, Peter, James, and John, Andrew, Philip, Nathaniel, Judas Iscariot, all of them, none of them had the Neoplatonic philosophical interpretations in their day. That came in the 2nd and 3rd centuries with the rise of the Christian apologists and the early church fathers. The immutable and eternal God. What does immutability mean? It's one of the most perplexing concepts in the Scriptures. It means essentially God does not change. The immutability is one of the more perplexing aspects of God in the Scripture, because the philosophical concept is God is absolute. He is simple. He is not mixed. There is no variableness or change. There is no... He's beyond time. He's beyond space. God is the absolute total. Because of this philosophical idea that was applied to the God of the Bible, the Christians are arguing that we LDS can't be Christian. We worship a different Jesus. We have a different God. Things like that. Now, the Bible teaches that God does not change. That's a simple fact. Yet it also demonstrates absolutely irrefutably that God has changed in several significant and important aspects. And so, how does this affect this idea, this definition of the immutability of God? That's what we want to explore. The accusation against the Latter-day Saint concept of God is that your God cannot be God because you say he was once a man, and therefore he's changed. He lost his divinity. He became mortal. And yet the Scripture says God has always been God from everlasting to everlasting, and so on and so forth. And so you Mormons have the wrong God, and we Christians have the right God. Hopkins explores this idea. And it's very interesting and important to understand what about God does and can change, and what part or what aspect of God does not change. Because the Bible records both aspects. God does change. And yet it does say he has always been God from everlasting to everlasting, and there is no other God. He has always been. So how do we reconcile this most interesting and fundamental contradiction about God? That's what I want this series of videos to be about, and this will lead us into the subject of infinity, and how dealing with the infinite from our finite, obviously, our finite comprehension doesn't destroy the LDS concept of God. With a proper understanding of infinity, and I will use Blake Ostler in my infinity videos, because his refutation of Francis Beckwith is absolutely complete. It is so powerful.